up, everybody? Welcome to Mystics MMOs. I'm your host, Mystic Raven. Okay, let's see if this is working now. I thought I was streaming, and I wasn't. I think my daughter infiltrated my system. So I'm about to check if we've got streaming going on or not. So please bear with me. Oh my. Okay, we're good. I think we're good. Or maybe not. I can't tell. Alright. Let's... Alright. I think this is going... I don't know. I can't tell. I'm trying to see. Hold on. Once again, bear with me. I need to change video resolution, it says. But it looks like we're live. So let's hope. Let's hope. Let's hope. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to give everybody a heads up how the meeting went. The meeting went well. All right, so it looked good. There were a couple concerns, so we're going to take we're going to progress and move forward with putting a little bit more paperwork in front of us, getting a couple of things done, and seeing how this all will unfold. Now, the location that I had in mind, we're a little worried about the size of, by the time the project's done, how much it can facilitate. So we're going to be looking at potential other locations and also some more paperwork before we look towards our initial investors. So, and of course, do a little bit more research. So there's a lot to process, but overall, it looks good. A lot of things are starting to look really good. It was a little bit of a lengthy meeting, but at the end of the day, I was more than really happy with the results. They loved the presentation. Presentation, they said, was really well. Once again, just some concerns raised. It was kind of different in the essence that, you know, these are respectable individuals in my local society. So no discredit to them, but they just didn't really understand some of the business model. But by the time the presentation was done, they did kind of have a, you know, they said it was well educated and well illustrated. The numbers do support the prospectus, which is great. So I did my job really good. Presentation, everything perfect, on point. Like I said, we're just going to reformat some of the paperwork and then proceed with maybe other potential locations, and then to do some research before we present. So there we have it. It looks really nice though. So I'm really happy with the individuals who you know, attended the meeting and given me their honest feedback. And once again, that's what I was, you know, hoping for. You know, is this, can we make this happen? Is it plausible? Can we see growth? And if none of these if none of these issues were factor, then it's pointless to proceed. It's like wishing in a well, you know, throwing money and hoping you spend a couple coins for all your wishes to come true. It's a pipe dream. So you have to be practical. Practicality is important. So really, really good. Also, I just got off the phone with my brother who was inquiring how the meeting went. Of course, he has a background in business as well, and it was cool because we you know, traded a couple of little stories and things like that. So it was really interesting to had to speak with my brother. So I am in World of Warcraft. I cannot, for some reason, locate the classic server. I'm going to be looking into that as well. So I will be able to do some content creating some further content creating, though I will not be playing Elder Scrolls Online. I'll be covering tomorrow Final Fantasy 14, the pros and cons, what I liked, what I didn't like, performance, things like that. I'll also be looking at, is classic WoW available? Is it still, months away? How do we gain access? Are we able to gain access, or is that still kind of closed off? I'll be taking a look at that. Also, pros and cons with World of Warcraft. Where is it going? What's happened? It's been years since I've been in this game. I did play it a few months ago, but so it'll be interesting. Everything that I'm going to be doing on top of trying to get more work done, which is keeps me busy. I'm not. Well, if I'm stuck, I'm stuck. Oh, darn it. All right. Some of these quests. All right, we got her. We got her. So yeah, really good stuff right now. I think I'm still streaming. I do believe it's saying I'm here, but I don't know. I'm thinking I am. Okay, I got viewers, so that's a good sign. But yeah, meeting went well. So we are going to be moving forward. Is that going? Does that mean the company is going to be active? Not yet. We still have probably a good 2-3 weeks before we register and then secure investors or try to secure investors. And me looking at seeing the potential for, because one of the biggest things was like, if we got the money today, could we get these many people to want to come to Ohio? That was the biggest question on the plate in this meeting after the presentation was delivered. I did deliver the presentation. Hey, Mystic, how'd it go? It went really good. There were some concerns, Scott, so I was just talking about that. So at first I got complimented on the presentation, which was really good. They enjoyed the presentation. It was informative, gave all the numbers that they were looking at. Also, how, time was relative to development. They were not familiar with the process and procedures, but with all credit, these are very respectable individuals. So they were like, okay, they really like I was almost speaking a foreign language in some instances. But when it came to the business model, they understood the business model. They understood the structure, which was great. I'm going to be working with another individual with doing some more paperwork process, configuring a more paperwork. Once we do that, then we're going to reconvene. And then once we reconvene, we're going to be looking at maybe a potential new location. Because the location that I was interested in, it's we're worried that it won't be big enough to facilitate the size we're going to need. So that's the second concern. So the only two concerns on the plate was, can we convince people that, transferring to our location is in their best interest, meaning would they want to? And second is facilitating, having a facility that can, has the capacity that we're looking at. So those were the two issues. And then on top of it, more paperwork. So we will be proceeding with more things. It's taking another step in the right direction, but it wasn't dismissed. So it was good. It was great to have these individuals who recognized the work that was put forward. And I did receive multiple compliments about my presentation and all the data. So I was more than happy about that. So like I said, at the end of the day, even if they would have said no, I was really happy with the work I put forward. So, and I won't be able to give that out yet, but once we can form everything, get everything together, I'm hoping to show you guys what I kind of do. But yeah, it was great. It was excellent. It was a good meeting. Overall, good meeting. So I'm going to be able to do some content creating. So tomorrow I'm going to cover Final Fantasy. Then I'm going to do World of Warcraft. I don't know how long I'll be able to do all this for, but I definitely want to keep people in the loop of how things are going and how things are proceeding. So, but we definitely want to make sure everything's together. We have all the data. We have everything before we move towards production. And that's important because once again, well, that's awesome. Yeah, it was good. It wasn't like there was no negative, there was no negative or whatever. It was a realistic, meeting, which I anticipated. That's what you get. Once again, and I did apologize to him. I'm like, listen, I am pretty narcissistic, but I'm a type of person and I only expect results. I don't like to waste people's time and I don't like to waste people's money. And I think there was that, respect there that, yeah, so what game is this? This will be I'll be coming out with a dual game. If this goes forward, there will be 2 forms to this game. So we will have a mobile version for what we call a prequel, and then we will follow up a year later with a sequel to the game that will be cross-platform. And hopefully, if we can get things underway, my product will also be the first MMO on Nintendo. So I've already spoken with some representatives at Nintendo. There are some more things I have to deal with once production starts. But yeah, I was pretty happy with that. But yeah, it was like, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the meeting. I enjoyed the individuals' time. They took time out to, their busy schedule to see this meeting happen, and to have an understanding of saying, okay, we see the potential. We see that the revenue, obviously the potential profit is there, and especially when it came to the initial investment, the initial amount to develop the product versus the return, even on a minimal scale in comparison to the expected cost of development, which we were saving a very nice amount given the fact. So those were the selling points, and they agreed that some of the biggest selling points was what I highlighted. So I'm hoping for the best, but like I said, we'll take it step by step. We'll move on to the next measure. We'll see where it takes us. Here. It's been a while since I've played. What game is this? This is World of Warcraft. This is WoW. Sorry, never played. This is World of Warcraft. Yes, it is. This is World of Warcraft. I'll be covering that as well. Like, what's the chances of, like, what's World of Warcraft's, pros and cons. It's been a couple years since I played. I played a couple months ago. Coming back to a turn-based game isn't necessarily something I anticipated. I much prefer the action. So I do have access to Black Desert, so I probably will try to squeeze in a little BDO here and there as well. Also, the pre-order is now available on Xbox, so I anticipate that in the next 3 to 4 months we can see Pearl Abyss moving towards the PlayStation platform. So that's my anticipation. So I'm really looking forward to Pearl Abyss, porting it over. But, in what time manner, we'll see. We'll see how that works out. Rare upgrade. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Yeah, but I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty stoked about the whole process. I mean, I was in there for a good almost 2 hours, so it actually ended a little bit sooner than I anticipated. And there were a lot of real good pros in the meeting. These individuals, I really appreciated everything that we discussed. Even, from every concern. It's like, yes, this building would be great given its location, but the size and, the third, year, could it still accommodate what we're looking at? And that was the issue. I understand the reasons they made the graphics the way they did, but they make fun of ESO graphics. Yeah, no, these graphics are cartoony as hell. It's intentional, like from Blizzard. There's these graphics are all has always been intentional. I gotta kill some more of these dudes. Just being friends with them. Nuts. I think if I do get Battle for Azeroth, I think it comes with a level coin. I think I'm gonna go with the Warrior. So I think that is something I'm going to be looking into if I do decide to get the new. I have Legion, and I have all the other fire expansions, but it's been a while since I played Warrior, and I'm also trying to look into classic World of Warcraft. Can I get access to that? Something that's still because that's what's driving me back. Is I need you know, more competitive PvP. Though it is a lot slower. It is. I'm not gonna lie, man. It is a lot slower. You know, coming back to this game and taking a combat. One of those things that I was like, oh man, wow. Wow, it's pay to play, right? Yeah, it's a subscription-based business model, right? You buy the product, 30 days free if it's 30 days free, and then on top of it you will get then you pay $15 a month, which isn't too bad, you know. The content's pretty good. They have good content, I can't say they don't, but in the direction in what World of Warcraft has done, I used to be a raider, so I'm not looking to get back into raiding, so I'm just looking at working for PvP purposes. And like Black Desert, I love the combat in Black Desert, but once again, the problem with Black Desert is accessibility. Because unless you're doing Guild Wars or you're doing Node Wars, you're pretty much SOL. Because if you try to PK, will have to farm out that negative karma, and that's very time consuming. It's taxing to say the least. But the graphics and performance of Pearl Abyss is bar none, probably the best combat you can anticipate in most games. Mystic, turn in-game sound down a little. Can't hear you. Got you. There we go. All right. So, yeah, I just got a new headset. $15, not too bad. Right. It's $15. It's definitely not bad. I would say that, you know, it's well worth it for the content. Performance is, you know, really good. Blizzard does have really good performance. So I will say that as well. The PvP is all battlegrounds, unless you do arenas. You can do arenas. But, you know, once again, turn-based combat. And that has and very linear progression. So when we talk about linear, we're talking about stats that are acquired through gear progression. And gear progression isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you have to understand even a scrub who has better gear than you is pretty much going to be dominant. So a lot of skill-based MMO is just out there. Oh, definitely, no problem. No, thank you, brother. Thank you for telling me. So, like I said, I mean, I'm really happy. I'm happy with the meeting. I will be able to continue doing some content creating for a little while. How far we get is, once again, I think we're taking the safe route, which I anticipated. And like I told them, they're like, "Have you proceeded?" I'm like, "No, I want. We're going to be practical. Like I'm very practical with, you know, you can who's on board locally." And then we had the discussion about, you think you can run WoW on an older laptop? Yeah, This doesn't have a lot of high end requirements, actually. It's probably got some of the lower end requirements out of in the game. I used to play World of Warcraft on a laptop. So long as you have, probably a dual core processor with at least 8 gigs of RAM, you'll be good. Obviously, if you have a little bit better system, that's to your advantage. But if you're running at least 8 gigs of RAM in a dual core, yeah, you're fine. You're fine. Major thing about laptop, I would make this suggestion: make sure you have an external cooler, because as you know, your as you're playing, if your laptop overheats, that can be a problem. But after that, as long as you keep your system pretty cool and clean, and you're not running a lot of background programs while you're playing, yeah, it's very doable to play on a. Now this game, it's wait till I show you guys tomorrow. No, Scott, wait till I show you Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is cross-play, so we know there's two cross-playable products currently, right? And that's DCUO and Final Fantasy 14. So they both have cross-play capability. And Final Fantasy is beautiful. It is stunning. And I do have the game. Unfortunately, though, and I will get into this tomorrow, there are some pros and cons to the product and what you can anticipate. So I'm going to be covering that tomorrow. I did get to level 15 so far in Final Fantasy, and I just noticed, and I was reading up on it and playing it, and there were a lot of things I enjoy about Final Fantasy, but there are other things that I'm like, and I'm like, I think my viewers have a right to know. I've already spent the money, I've already purchased it, so it was like, you know what? I'm gonna at least give people the heads up of saying what's the dilly with this. Is it available on like a Steam box? Yeah, you can play World of Warcraft on a Steam box. Yeah. So if you have like a Alienware Steam box, you can play World of Warcraft. Yeah. I still think you have to run I think you actually can run the Steam OS too. So Steam OS would work with World of Warcraft, I do believe. Though Blizzard has its own launcher, I think the Windows op is a little bit more streamlined for it. So if you're using Windows OS for Steam, for the Steam box, you'll be fine with that. But at the same time, if you run Steam, I believe you can still run World of Warcraft through Steam. Oh, okay. Let me go ahead and we're going to get some heals going on. Get some hots in. Boy, this thing just keeps popping around. Heard the crafting is amazing on Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is really good in a lot of ways. I'm not going to lie. Final Fantasy, the graphics, performance, cutscenes are spectacular, right? My problem with Final Fantasy, and here's some of the negatives, and I'm going to be a little bit more practical. Final Fantasy is very quest based, and I felt like if you're into questing, it's a great game, right? But the dungeons are based on a progression system. Like you can't just go into a dungeon at one level and say, "Oh, I'm ready to do this dungeon." No, 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 no. You have to do the quest line to get accessibility to that dungeon. Once you do that dungeon, I don't know if it's repeatable. So I'm going to be playing that tomorrow and basically just highlighting that game in tomorrow's episode. So I do feel like there are some pros and cons with Final Fantasy. Performance wise, though, I was getting 90 frames consistently on Final Fantasy. I mean, its frame rate was amazing. It was spectacular. It was well deserved. Being able to change classes on the same tomb seems pretty nice, right? And that was another pro of the game. But my major thing was like, why don't they? It just seems like they focus so much on the storytelling, which is good. I'm not ragging on it for any of that. That you don't have like this sense of I want to explore a delve. I want to go into a dungeon Maybe I've been spoiled in a lot of ways due to those MMOs that I'm traditionally accustomed to playing, which isn't bad. I'm not once again I'm not trying to dismiss what Final Fantasy is. Every MMO is slightly different. Yeah, it's repeatable, right? Yeah, it's beautiful though. I'll tell you, it is beautiful. The game is literally just phenomenal to look at, and to get the performance that you're getting is, oh my god, bar none, one of the best experiences you'll have as far as performance. If you're looking for a game that's very story driven, that you can anticipate being able to play with other players, it has its appeal to it. Now, the combat system is a little, it's a fun game. They have done some great updates, and PvP is fun. Yeah, I haven't PvP'd on the game, but I do see that the game does. I mean, its performance is bar none probably one of the best. And especially for how much the graphics yield. The graphics are just phenomenal. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. I'm drooling as I'm making my character. The environment is very detailed, and it puts a nice setting. Now, Black Desert, one thing I love the Black Desert's combat. Hands down, to this day, I still feel like Black Desert has the best combat in an MMO to date. But the problem of it is, once again, is accessibility. And it's like when I look at Final Fantasy versus Black Desert, it's like comparing apples and oranges. Yeah, they're both fruits, so they're both MMOs, but literally you can't compare the two because they have just a different approach to them. I played OG Final Fantasy on Nintendo and then Final Fantasy 7 on PlayStation, then stopped. Yeah, Final Fantasy 7, it's classic. Like Final Fantasy 7, I played up to Final Fantasy 12. Um, but then Final Fantasy 12 had me a little disappointed. I was like, "Oh god." So I was a little disappointed with Final Fantasy 12. It just my personal opinion. But yeah, no, World of Warcraft, this game, you can run this on a lot of older systems. It was kind of crazy because I always anticipated that World of Warcraft would port, given how popular it is. And once they mainstreamed a lot of the abilities, I'm like, if they went ahead and mainstream more of these abilities, I could see this game going on consoles. But because there's not a lot of macro systems that you can set up, like in Rift. In Rift, everything was about the macro, right? Everything was dictated to macro. You can macro so many things in Rift. So in a lot of ways, in my opinion, Rift was superior to World of Warcraft in combat, but it just couldn't deliver. It was so high end requirements when it initially launched that it became a problem, for Tryon to get players to play it. I would rather Quest over the Grind Fest of BDO. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear you. Black Desert does have Quest, but there is a grind associated, and I don't think you can get rid of that in Black Desert. Black Desert is a Korean-based game, where Final Fantasy, I want to say, is Japanese, so there is a slight difference associated. So okay, now he said something about travel form, if I'm not mistaken. Slay morph or something. Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, it's right here. It's dead, so I have to wait for respawn. Damn it! Damn it, Jim! Damn it! So this is my druid. He's a 102. Once again, my problem of it is linear progression, right? I feel like that's the problem with most games these days. Is how does progression, occur? Okay. I feel like they made this game way too easy at times too. Like my problem with World of Warcraft is there used to be a challenge to it, and grouping meant something, and now it's so solo driven. It's like I'm tired. I know a lot of people are into the solo aspect, but what's the point of an MMO if you don't group and you're not, getting together to accomplish something? And I feel like pugs, that's where pug life meant something, right? When you would pick and you'd meet people, while you're trying to do something and you needed that one person or something. Okay, I'm going to keep my hots up. Oh shit. Mama. Now a lot of people would start panicking and then just start hitting a bunch of this stuff. But honestly, I'm going to try to do it. I might die. And of course, being a healer, my AoEs suck. Should be able to keep myself up though through my hots. So a little off the topic, I'm trying to create a heavy armor mag sork, no shield, except maybe the resto shield. Work in progress. Oh, dude, yeah. That definitely sounds good. The resto shield, I like since the changes, I was talking to somebody about that. I actually like the multiple shield now, versus the single, because the heal isn't it in PvP is kind of insignificant now because we have that delay. It's not as relative as it once was. So, and I told somebody, like I was telling Ice yesterday, I'm like, I spent 3 years in Elder Scrolls and I love it. I'm going to take the best memories with me from Elder Scrolls. But can only use outside. It's good to know. So I'm always going to have fond memories of Elder Scrolls. I just feel like I have to like take that, you know, step away. But it was interesting. This, like I said, this meeting was really interesting, because there was definitely, more work needs to be done. Okay, and I like that. I really like that. It was like we need to do this, we need to do that to proceed forward. Yeah, it sounds like a good plan to me. I love that. And these gentlemen were amazing. They were very. I hope, I did get complimented on, like I said, the presentation and the delivery. So I felt like I did a really good job doing what I do, what I'm good at doing. There's not a lot of things I feel like I'm good at, right? But when it comes to business and gaming, yeah, two things I can do pretty good. So, you know, business especially, I miss it. I years gone by and I felt like, man. Okay. Got to leave in a few minutes. I'm running Fortified and Shackle with Stormfist. Stormfist? Really? I like the Fortified and Shackle. Why Stormfist? That one's a curve one for me. The Stormfist guys. Another thing in this game, since I've been back, I've noticed the higher level, I'm anticipating to do this crazy amount of damage, and it's not the case. Tried Fortified and Bright Throat, but not enough recovery. Yeah. So I feel like that. I like the idea behind the Shackle. I really do. I think that's a good call. Fortified gives you that. Hey, you know what? Honestly though, Scott, instead of Fortified, try Armor Master. If you're gonna use a shield system, if you're gonna use the shield system, you could go light. Um, you could literally do light Armor Master with the shield and get just as good as resistance and get the bonus from the light armor passives. Just food for thought. So because of the shock and physical damage to proc components. Yeah, but it's Like, are you using a CC? Because I mean, it has like a like almost what, like a 2-second delay, doesn't it? Before the proc hits. That's why I was a little kind of like, if you throw CC down like Rune Prison, I think it would be OP as fuck. Like Frost Staff would be good with that. Like I could see a Frost Staff actually. Like if you use a Frost Staff with that and lock him in place, that would be badass. Like I could see you doing that. Like locking him in, use a CC, a hard CC, and then just kaboom. Yeah, I was trying to get this up and running a little earlier, so I have to get hold a couple more people. Um, but yeah, no, it went good. Like, so it wasn't dismissed. We're gonna be proceeding forward, trying to get a couple more things in. Yeah, I'm a Sork, so you know I'm running prison. Right, 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 right. So here's my suggestion. Replace fortified. Okay, I love your idea. Keep the shackle. Keep the storm fist. I like this. Go with armor master, light armor master instead, and run a frost staff. I'm telling you, brother, holy shit balls. Holy shit balls. You could also go lich instead of shackle, but the extra stamina from shackle actually does come in handy. So I feel weird when I'm playing this game anymore these days. I'm like, wow. Pun intended. Wow. Woof. Woof. All right. Scroll in here a little bit so you can take a look at some of the detailed graphics. Like my nephew used to be in a RuneScape really bad. I was like, what? He's like, oh, love it, Uncle Gary. I was like, okay. I'm like, it's not a bad game. Not my cup of tea. Yeah, I like the stam and stam recovery Shackle gives. Yeah, that extra little bit of stam, it definitely comes in handy. I agree. Totally. How'd meeting go? Went good. Went good. Two concerns. So we have two concerns to address. So I have a little bit more work to do before we proceed to the next phase. So a little bit of a backstep, but it was great. They enjoyed the presentation. I actually got complimented on the presentation. They were like, you know, they were familiar with at least the business structure. They weren't familiar with, a lot of the intricate aspects to the industry, which is fine. And because at the end of the day, these are businessmen. These are guys who understand business. So when they took a look at the business model and at least, the related numbers, it went well. And that was one of my strongest points, because that's what I know. That's what I do. It's what I studied. So that went well. So two of the concerns we had, A-Bomb, was facilitating. So we have a building, but the question of it is, by the time the third year comes out and we increase our employees towards development, would we be able to facilitate? Could the building, handle that many people? So we're going to be taking a look at a potential, like, other potential locations that still meet the, the recommended, specifications we're needing. And then also too is whether or not we can get people who's either working or have worked in the industry who are willing to relocate. So that's something I have to look into as well, as far as those two things. Once, and then of course more paperwork. So I have to do a little bit more paperwork as well. Once we acquired that information, then I will do more work, and then we'll proceed further, you know, with trying to secure the initial investors and things like that. But it's something that we definitely want to take, time in doing, because you can't rush these type of things. Because let's say we got the investors hypothetically, but we couldn't get the initial staff. How are we going to develop a product without staff? You see what I'm saying? So these were the concerns, but as far as the numbers went, everything pans out. So that was good. So I'm doing my job. I'm doing my job. I'm doing my job. All right, doing my job. Doing my job. So, and I miss it. That's one of those things I miss. You know, I miss a lot of people hate paperwork, but I love it. I relish. I thrive in paperwork. So the more paperwork, the better. So we're in old World of Warcraft. You ever play this, A-Bomb? Don't know if you have. So yeah, I'm going to be able to do a little bit more content creating for at least another couple of weeks. And there's my wife. One second. Hey, honey. I don't know. Something sound good? Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to finish up the stream and I will come and get you. I'll be there within like 4 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes. I love you. Bye. Okay, that is the wife. I'm going to make this kill really quick. Oh, oh my God. All right. I think I'm still here. I hope. I hope you guys can hear me. Let's make sure. Yep, you guys can hear me. All right. So I got to go pick up the wife. Um, just about that time. And I will be tomorrow covering Final Fantasy 14. Basically with an unbiased approach. Things that I like, things I didn't like, things that you might like, the pros and cons. Now, keep in mind, Final Fantasy 14 is one of the only cross-platform games out there. We only have two associated. So those are relative, right, to, your play experience. But as once again, not every game has everything a player is looking for. So we'll go over the type of combat system it has, the pros of being able to switch to other classes, what it takes, how the leveling progression goes, the storyline. I'll be doing some play to give people a feel. How the performance, works in comparison to maybe other products that you might be playing or you have yet to try. So I definitely am going to look forward to covering the Final Fantasy 14 experience and hopefully give you guys my impressions, just my impressions, my thoughts. But once again, thank you guys. Thank you, Black, for stopping in. Thanks, A-Bomb, for stopping in. Scott, thank you. I appreciate it always, guys. Thank you for all your support. Once again, I don't know where I would be without my community. My community has done a lot of things for me, and I know at the end, if this goes through, you all will be looking forward to the products that my company will deliver you. So I'm hoping that's the case, but we'll see. Once again, I'm Mystic Raven. This is Mystics MMOs. And as always, thank you guys. And have a nice day.